So I chose to cover the midpoint insight of the ring theory for Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So Indiana Jones is an action-adventure film directed by Steven Spielberg and cinematography done by Douglas Slocum. It was released in 1981 to, oddly enough, a lot of success. It's a great film. So anyway, my uh, project I'm going to break down in three parts. Part 1, I'm going to cover the ring theory. Part 2, I'm going to cover principles and elements of design, and Part 3 will be my conclusion. Okay, so what is the midpoint insight? The midpoint is where key insight is learned by our character and to better solve their problem. So the problem overall in Indiana Jones, the main problem is Nazis are in search for the Ark of the Covenant. It's 1936, so it's set during an early pre-World War II, timeline. Nazis are on the search of the Ark of the Covenant, so the stakes are pretty high in this film. Okay, so, but the problem I'm going to focus on specifically is, at this point in the film, Indiana Jones is trying to get the medallion translated. So he goes to Cairo and meets up with his friend Sallah. So Sallah takes him to see a shaman who is able to translate the medallion. And he reveals a couple things. So this is where the insight comes in. So it is revealed that the Nazis, the excavation site is close to the Ark, but it's still hidden because they are lacking the knowledge from the medallion. So basically, the Nazis do have part of the medallion because earlier into the film, Arnold taught like the Gestapo agent burns down Marion Ravenwood's bar, and in the bar fight, the medallion gets tossed into the fire, and he reaches into the flames and grabs it, and of course it's burns him, and it's imprinted on his hand. So he's able to get half of it translated. So that what the Nazis know at this point is from half of the medallion. Indy's able to get the other half translated. And so with this insight, it's revealed that the staff that the Nazis have is too long. It should be shortened out of respect to Hebrew beliefs. But the medallion is the key as well. It reveals the medallion is the key. The staff needs to be shortened, and that when positioned correctly in the map room in the tomb, sunlight will reveal the burial site, the true location of the Ark of the Covenant. So how does this help our protagonist to understand the problem? He now realizes that he practically has the Ark in the palm of his hand. He knows how to find it, and he holds like the key information that he needs. And he'll know that he knows that he'll find it before Bellic and the Nazis do, which means that once he gets it, he can take it back to the U.S. It's put in the museum, guarded where it belongs, So how will it help him solve the problem? So, like I said, this pretty much gives Indiana Jones the upper hand in finding the Ark, and with the help of Sallah, who will sneak him into the excavation site, because Sallah actually works for the Nazis, not on purpose. The Nazis are just hiring locals. So Sallah takes Indy to the tomb, and with the staff, Indy is able to reveal the location. So basically, he's ahead of the Bellic and the Nazis in terms of knowledge and a better understanding of the Ark of the Covenant. So this is where I will talk about part 2. This is part 2 of the midterm. This is where elements and design principles will come in. So this is my first one. This is the beginning of the scene. This is where Indy is in the tomb. I'm choosing to focus on pattern, specifically on the blocks that make up the tomb. So there's pattern through, of course, the shape of the blocks and the paintings of the murals, which actually in one right here is a callback to Star Wars, because this is a project George Lucas is working on as well. So it's a callback to Star Wars, which isn't important, but it's a neat little Easter egg and reference. So this one right here, I will focusing on movement and the rule of thirds. So in this scene, Indy is standing in front of the camera, to the side, of course, and the light uh, starts to shift, through the tomb, and with it, the light starting to disappear behind it, leaving Indy in the back, and pretty much guides our eyes to this map of the old city. Uh, and I said the rule of thirds is in here too because Indy is positioned perfectly, like right there on the sweet spot where he's not. His presence is there, but he's not overbearing, and the city is just right there. It's like it. Our eyes automatically go straight to the city. This one right here is contrast. There's a shift in lighting where Indy's in a dark background, and which leads our eyes to focus on the city, which is in the light, of course. So it's a nice use of contrast and balance as well, I think. Okay, so this one right here is leading lines through the light. The light is our line that shines on a mural, which, if you look, shows it looks like two pharaohs holding staffs as well. So, of course, is intentional. These next two, actually, right here, are negative space. Both utilize negative space by juxtaposing both Indy and the medallion, two different parts of the scene, giving emphasis to them. And right here, this one's Indy, kind of looking in astonishment, because at this point in the scene, the camera's panning up to the medallion, the light's shining through. We get a nice close-up of Indy with the negative space where we focus on him, which will be repeated throughout this whole scene. A lot of close-ups and, wide shots, close-up wide shots, to give a good reaction. So this is positive space right here. Everything's on full display. Indy is like right there in the camera. But, it's a good way of showing how, giving great size to the tomb, showcasing its size, resorting in Indy kind of looking small, And this next one right here is negative space and emphasis. Again, it's another close-up. The background is dark, but Indy is lighter. And this, of course, is to draw our attention to his face, which is an astonishment because of the light shining through. These two right here utilize contrast leading lines and movement. I say that because the light where the medallion is, where Indy is, Indy forms one part of the triangle. The medallion and the staff are another, and then the light shining through create a triangle a bit, which still give focus to Indy because of his white robe and headdress. I said this one right here. Chose this one because this is a great one where everything, the tomb, walls going straight, which disappear because of how bright the city is, which is another thing because the light is also another leading line right there. The walls from the tomb enclose it, and you just have to focus on the city, which is glowing. So these two right here, this one, of course, is a good use of contrast of white with Indy on the back of the dark brown background, but I like this one specifically because of the colors. Of course, of the colors, and because at this point in the movie, we know the Nazis are the threat. We know the Nazis are there, but they're only talked about. I mean, we know they're Nazis, but physical, like Nazi property, like Nazi objects, like are like on display. This is the first time we see like actual like concrete, like, hey, this is Nazi. These are Nazi. This is the threat. But of course, it's his friend Sala, who earlier had to take the rope away because he got caught by the Nazis. So he has to make do with what he's got, using the Nazi flag. So it's a great use of color. Like, it's bright red. To even like just is mutes Indy's white robe, giving emphasis to the flag itself. So my conclusion, I think Raiders is a very, very well structured film. I mean, it follows the ring structure theory perfectly because, as I said, this is the part where our character learns something new. He gains key insight to the problem and how he should solve it. He learns that the medallion is the key, to unlocking the tomb, to revealing its location. So there he is in the map room, of course with the staff, with everything, and right here too, I forgot to mention that you can see that the Nazis actually were here before, and they wrote scribbles. I'll have to translate that later, but I think it says something about like do not touch, But like I said, like it shows that the Nazis have failed trying to enter to finding to try to understand this map. But of course, Indy, with the key knowledge that he has of what to do with the staff, where to go, how to position it, he is able to reveal the true location of the Ark of the Covenant. So yeah, so it's a very good, well-structured film, which is intentional. It's a conscious decision on Lucas and Spielberg's part, because these movies, Indiana Jones specifically, is kind of like a callback to the old 40s serials and adventure books from their youth, which follow tight plots and basic three-act structures, beginning, middle, and end. The hero is unaware of the dangers, he leaves his home, he's got a call to adventure, he's got a climax, an ending, and the hero goes back with new knowledge of the world. So of course, like, Indy is the perfect hero. He's reluctant, at the beginning. He just has a knack for exploration. To him, it's just a game. It's fun. It's a thrill, He's got respect for these old world treasures. His main mission is to take them back, put them in a museum. That's who he is, But the Ark is something new to him, because at the beginning, he's very, reluctant, dismissive about the Ark's power. But throughout the movie, especially in the midpoint scene, it also reveals there's a mystical power with the light, It's a very well, great character progression. So yeah, of course, the movie ends with Indy trying to, caution the U.S. government, don't, take care of this, don't let this get in the wrong hands. But of course, I'm not going to keep you for long. That's just it. This is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Very well movie put together. Thank you.